The Miami Dolphins will lose their second preseason game tonight against the Dallas Cowboys 41-14. The story tonight for the Miami Dolphins is the backup offense and defense not playing as well as they would have liked it to, as well as the emergence of Dak Prescott for the Dallas Cowboys. The Miami Dolphins first team stayed in until the basic end of the second quarter. Ryan Tannehill putting on a complete clinic, making very nice passes as well as getting through his progressions very well. There were a couple drop passes in the end zone. Tannehill, in my opinion, should have finished with 3 to 4 touchdowns tonight, and the game should have been a lot closer than it was and shouldn't have got derailed. But there were a couple drop passes by Landry twice and Jordan Cameron, which should have been an easy catch for him, especially a big tight end like himself. But the Miami Dolphins first team, like I said, their offense did have a very good game. The Kenny Stills definitely with a very, very, very nice game, showing that he can still be the guy he was in New Orleans after the Miami Dolphins traded for him a season ago. And it's really showing tonight's game. Yes, it's the preseason, but Kenny Stills was showing that he can be that guy. Sort of maybe not the second guy, but at least the third in the slot position. And he had some very nice plays. Devontae Parker, when he had the ball, was getting a couple nice runs here and there. They obviously want to still go a little slow with Devontae Parker until he's 100%. But all in all, it actually wasn't a horrible game if you look at the first half in terms of the offense. Now, if we go to the defensive side of the game, the defense wasn't very good even from the beginning of the game. It looked like it was okay after we had stopped them, and then all of a sudden, touchdown. Then after that, it was another touchdown. Then after that, we got a touchdown, then another touchdown. There was a pick that was taken away by Andre Branch, getting a roughing the passer call. And I know a lot of people were tweeting out, oh, roughing the passer number 50. I wonder where we've heard that before. If you guys aren't a Dolphins fan, this was from Olivier Vernon last year. You would always hear number 50 roughing the passer. So very funny stuff out of that. But there were a lot of positives to tonight's game. Although it was a very big blowout loss, the game just ended a couple seconds ago and it was 41-14. Although there were some very, very big problems within the defense, there were a lot of positives that you could look at. If we start with the offense, again, let's go back and into detail. The Miami Dolphins' first-team offense ran very well today. Ryan Tannehill was on point. The running backs weren't as good as you would like them to be, especially for first-team running backs. Arian Foster only got 1 or 2 touches, and Jay Ajayi had 1 good run, but that was about it. And then after that, you didn't see much from the running game. But in terms of the passing game from Ryan Tannehill, it was very, very good performance from him. Then you had the receivers doing a good job. There were a couple drop passes, like I said, 2 by Jarvis, 1 by Jordan Cameron that were in the red zone that should have accounted for touchdowns. But then you got to look at the offensive line. The offensive line starters today were Juwan James, Jamon Bushrod, Mike Pouncey, Laramie Tunsil, and Brandon Albert. And Mike Pouncey, Brandon Albert, Juwan James, Bushrod, and Tunsil are probably the best offensive line the Dolphins have had in a while. Tunsil is still showing that he is great. He is the next NFL great in terms of at least an offensive lineman, and he's still showing it. And he played with the first teamers today, so it wasn't like he played with the second and third last week. This week he played with the first teamers, and it was a very good showing from Tunsil, and it was really rare showing in terms of a lot of people were like tweeting out, oh, look at Tunsil, he's doing a good job. But not really, because if you had been watching him previously throughout the game last week against the Giants, you noticed that Tunsil was either running out down the field, helping creating lanes, or he was giving very good pass protection for the quarterback that was out there, whether it was Matt Moore, Brandon Doughty, or Zach Dysert. So it was a very good showing for the Miami Dolphins' first-team offensive line and the first-team offense as a whole, which was very good for the Miami Dolphins to see. Now, another positive is we saw very good play out of Neville Hewitt on we're going to the defensive side now. So we saw very good play out of Neville Hewitt. We saw very good play out of Brandon Harris. We also saw a good play out of Bobby McCain, Issa Abdul-Qudus, Andre Branch after that roughing the passer call had a very great resurgence on the field in terms of pass rushing ability and getting Dak Prescott to roll out of the pocket. Of course, you want to keep him there and get him in there and sack him, but there was still very good plays by the Dolphins defense that were taking them out of the game. There's a couple other Dolphins I'm not mentioning, but they were just really good games in general for those 5 players. Now, when you look at the defense as a whole, the defense gave up 41 points today. It was a very, very poor performance by the Miami Dolphins defense as a whole. There was no individual person that made a huge difference that was like, all right, let's get this going, let's get some stops. And it was just not, it wasn't good to see as a Miami Dolphins fan in terms of defense. Yes, it's our second and third teamers, but at the same time, it's not a good showing for that defensive side. Especially when you're trying to get a job, your main thing is to play your best. Like I said, you saw backup guys. Oh, another guy I forgot to mention is Mike Hull. He played a very good game. So there were some guys who were fighting for jobs who played very well. And then the guys who already had their jobs didn't play too well. You saw that Sue and Mario Williams were able to create some havoc. Not a lot. They didn't get a sack down. It wasn't a lot of huge things, but they were able to cause some havoc in their respective sides of the field. But all in all, it wasn't too poor of a showing like last week. In terms of last week after the game, I was very brutal on the Miami Dolphins in terms of the offensive side of the ball because the defense was very well. And it was a win too, which doesn't make any sense because you would think, Kai, why aren't you being harder on them now that they lost, especially a brutal loss, 41-10? The reason why I'm not harder on them is just because it was a huge improvement from last week to this week in terms of a whole team together. The offense was playing very well. Backup offense wasn't amazing, but it was still a good performance. Ryan Tannehill finished with 12 for 20, 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kenny Stills has 71 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the first team offense showing that they can be very well in terms of, hey, we can do this for you guys. As a whole, the Dolphins team played well. I still think that the defense did not play well, and we need to focus more on our DBs, especially our corners. Byron Maxwell was playing really well in coverage, but not in terms of being able to turn his back around and make a play on the ball. But besides that, like I said, it was a very big improvement in terms of a team whole for the offense. Last week, like I said, I went very hard on the offense. I didn't go hard on the defense. They played very well. This week, the defense didn't play very well, but still at that point, you have to acknowledge the great things that the offense did in terms of the first team offense. I have to keep saying that, not the offense as a whole, but the first team offense. And you have to really like that resurgence of the first team offense to say, hey, listen, you guys criticized us last week. Now we're staying out longer. Look what we can do when we're on the field in this new Adam Gase offense. Another guy who I'd like to mention who had a very good game was Isaiah Peed. He was playing really well. He had a good game last week, and the announcers were talking about how, Isaiah Peed might not make the roster, but last week he had a great game, and this week he had a great game. And Daniel Thomas and Damian Williams not having good games because you could very well see the backs be Arian Foster, Jay Ajayi, Kenyon Drake, and Isaiah Peed. So, guys, that's going to be all from me. This is, I think, a longer video than last week's video. Like I said, I just want to praise the offense. I think they did a very good job, but the defense did not do a good job at all. Adam Gase has to go through some things with the team, and so does Vance Joseph and the DB coaches and the linebacker coaches next week during practice so they can prepare to go against Atlanta and fix those little things that they had that they need to desperately fix. And they gave up way too many yards and way too many points today. We'll have to see what they do next week on Thursday in Orlando against Atlanta. Until then, till the next video, I will see you guys next time. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, like the video. Also, subscribe to my channel for more Dolphins and Miami Heat and really sports content in general. I do a lot of my stuff based on the Dolphins and the Heat just because I do live in Miami and they are my favorite teams to watch, as well as the Giants, but I don't get a lot of Giants feedback here as I do with the Dolphins just because I do live in Miami, and I can't really get a lot of stuff on the Giants, but I will soon enough, and I will be making a Giants video later on in the week. Guys, I will see you guys next time. Like I said, subscribe if you like the video, as well as like the video. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or you want to just start a general discussion. I will see you guys next time. Peace.